You've been carrying someone else's cruelty for years, and every time you mention it, someone tells you to just forgive and move on. The modern world has turned forgiveness into a performance, a spiritual bypass. You're supposed to smile and say it's fine when it's not fine. Let people back into your life who prove they can't be trusted. Pretend the wound doesn't exist, so everyone else feels comfortable. This version of forgiveness asks you to lie to yourself, to reality, to your own experience of harm. It demands that you erase boundaries in the name of love. It tells you that protecting yourself is somehow unforgiving, unspiritual, unloving. You end up trapped between two impossible choices. Either hold on to bitterness and let it eat you alive, or open yourself up to be hurt again by the same person in the same way. But what if everything you were told about forgiveness was built on a misunderstanding? What if the oldest Christian voices knew something about mercy that we've completely forgotten? Jesus himself draws this line clearly. In Matthew 18:15, he says, "If your brother sins against you, go and tell him his fault, between you and him alone. Not pretend it didn't happen, not swallow your pain to keep the peace. Tell him his fault." Later, in Luke 17:3, Christ adds, "Pay attention to yourselves. If your brother sins, rebuke him, and if he repents, forgive him. If he repents, then forgive him." The sequence matters. Recognition of harm comes first, then accountability. Then, if there's genuine repentance, restoration becomes possible. Augustine of Hippo understood this distinction in his bones. Before his conversion, he had wounded people. After it, he had been wounded by them. He knew both sides of the equation. Born in North Africa in 354, Augustine spent his young adulthood running from God and hurting everyone in his path. He abandoned the mother of his child. He manipulated his way through relationships. He stole from his friends. He knew what it meant to cause real damage to real people. Then, after his dramatic conversion at 33, he watched the world collapse around him. Rome was falling. The Donatist controversy was tearing churches apart. Friends betrayed friends. Communities fractured under pressure. Barbarians were literally at the gates when he died. He had to figure out how Christians were supposed to live with real harm in a broken world. Writing in his work, On the Sermon on the Mount, Augustine makes the crucial distinction. It is not possible for us to forget injuries when the heart still burns with the pain of them, but it is possible for us to will that those who have injured us be freed from their guilt before God. This is the distinction that changes everything. Forgiveness isn't forgetting. It's not pretending you weren't hurt. It's willing the good of the person who hurt you while protecting yourself from further harm. Augustine knew that God's mercy doesn't erase consequences. In his letters, he explains, God does not will the destruction of the wicked, but their conversion. Yet this does not mean that wickedness should go unchecked, lest it spread like a cancer through the body. He watched bishops enable abusive priests. He saw communities destroyed because leaders confused mercy with permissiveness. Augustine learned that love without boundaries isn't love at all. It's enablement disguised as virtue. In his Confessions, he writes about his own mother's wisdom. She learned to endure with patience the wrongs done to her by an unfaithful husband, never responding with injury, but always waiting for the possibility of his conversion, and meanwhile protecting herself and her children from his violence. Monica forgave Augustine's father, but she also protected her household from his destructive patterns. She prayed for his conversion while refusing to enable his sin. She loved him without trusting him. Augustine understood that you can forgive someone and still refuse to trust them. You can wish them well and still maintain boundaries. You can release your bitterness and still protect yourself from their pattern of harm. This isn't contradiction, it's wisdom. Augustine spent 35 years as a bishop learning that love without discernment destroys communities. Mercy without accountability enables evil. I want to be careful here about what I'm saying and what I'm not saying. I'm not saying you should hold on to hatred. Bitterness will poison you long before it touches the person who hurt you. I'm not saying you should seek revenge. Justice belongs to God, not to your wounded ego. I'm not saying that reconciliation is impossible or that people can't change. Real repentance opens doors that seemed permanently closed. But I am saying that forgiveness doesn't require you to be stupid. It doesn't mean letting toxic people back into your life because they've said sorry. It doesn't mean pretending abuse was actually love. It doesn't mean trusting someone who hasn't proven themselves trustworthy through sustained change over time. True forgiveness recognizes harm, names it honestly, and chooses not to let it define your heart. But it also chooses not to let the same harm happen again when you have the power to prevent it. Forgiveness is an act of the will, not a feeling. It's choosing not to seek revenge. It's releasing your right to hurt them back. It's praying for their genuine repentance and conversion. But it's not pretending they're safe when they've proven they're not. This is mercy with backbone, compassion with common sense. It's what the wisest voices in Christian history actually taught. They understood that protecting others from harm is sometimes the most loving thing you can do, even when those others include the person who hurt you. Forgiveness sets your heart free. Boundaries keep your life safe. You need both. One without the other is either bitterness or foolishness. Maybe forgiveness isn't about them at all. Maybe it's about freeing your heart while keeping your head. Love doesn't always look like yes.